Great. So our agenda for today is what is a DAO. I'll be going through the particulars of a DAO, what makes it tick, how does it work. I'm going to show some examples of DAOs and DAO platforms. And then we're going to go into a nice live demo where I'm going to create a DAO in front of everyone. I'm going to show you how easy it is. And you're going to feel a lot more comfortable with it. You're going to see it in real time. But it's also going to be a functional DAO, which is part of my announcement that we will get into a little later on. And then finally, we'll end off with some Q&A. So a DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. The organization part of a DAO is a very broad term. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be some sort of LLC or corporation, even though that could be the case when it comes to a DAO. It could be something as small as a personal project or a hobby that you're interested in. It could be a local community, the suburb that you're in. You want to raise funds for something, or you just want to communicate and collaborate on maybe community projects. It could be charity related, but then it also gets a little bit more advanced where DAOs could be used for venture funding, grants, and startups and founders creating applications or creating solutions. Well, you name it actually. So when you hear the term organization, think of it just as a collaborative of like-minded individuals who want to work together, and that the DAO can present collaboration tools and obviously financial tools in a decentralized manner that can make your project move forward. If we go to decentralized, the difference over here now is obviously when the technology comes into play. The DAOs mostly run on a decentralized blockchain. So the technology that gets used, the processes that get used on via the DAO technology runs on blockchain networks. Therefore, it conforms to immutable transactions. You know, once something is set on the blockchain, it is public to everyone. It's visible to everyone. No one can change it. It abides by all the laws that you would know when it comes to a blockchain or an Ethereum or a Bitcoin or Ethereum blockchain. So all the rules apply. And it's just that these collaboration tools are coming into this blockchain space, and they play the same game. So the other part of decentralization is the proposals and governance, right? It's not a central governance. It is a decentralized. It gets spread out between individuals and members that join the DAO, and proposals are created, and DAO members need to go and vote against these proposals in order for certain decisions to take place. Now, one thing that you need to also realize, and we'll get to the autonomous part, which I think we should actually jump to right now, is that these processes started off on the Ethereum blockchain, and it actually started off with one of the original DAOs, which was called the DAO. But the idea behind this is that these smart contracts, unlike the Bitcoin blockchain, when Ethereum came out, they came out with these smart contracts, and these smart contracts had intelligent business logic that was written to the blockchain, which meant it couldn't be modified. So once it was on the Ethereum blockchain, that was your logic, and that logic would be there to execute certain transactions automatically. And it's most of the time conditional based transactions. So if this, then that, if this, then that, if this, then that, if everything equals true, then it will go ahead and make something occur. And it's most of the time financially driven. So it will usually be transferring of funds from one wallet to another wallet. But thanks to oracles, it could actually go past that, and it could trigger external webhooks in order for certain things outside the blockchain world to occur as well. So don't think of it as only something that could exist on the blockchain. It spans much further than that. These smart contracts would take the place of individual, or should I say business related functions that would occur. So if you needed to make a certain payment, and that's the easiest one. Say now you were a corporation or you were an LLC, and finance and once you approved a certain a purchase order, then the finance would receive that approval, and then they would go and make that financial transaction. When it comes to a decentralized autonomous organization, then what would happen is once certain decisions are made, and once voting reaches a certain point, and you get a certain amount of votes within a certain period of time. All of these are rules that are baked into the smart contract that I mentioned earlier on. And when everything reaches true, then it gets automatically approved. There's no individual that's saying, okay, I go ahead and approve this. The smart contract has the business logic to say this is automatically approved, and automatically the funds would be transferred to the destination. In other words, the purchase order would be paid. So that is a very good example of what would happen automatically inside a DAO versus what would have happened manually inside an LLC or business. Okay. So we've got automated processes. The proposals and voting, again, what happens is the members that join the DAO, they could exist everywhere, and they join the DAO and receive what we call DAO tokens or DAO coins. Now, these tokens or coins represent their influence inside the organization. And in some cases, you might only assign one coin to every single person. And the reason why you would assign one coin to every person inside the DAO is that coin might represent their influence when it comes to voting. So if you wanted to vote on, do we go in this direction when it comes to making payments, then all you would want is for every single person to come forward and vote on that proposal, and their influence on that vote would be like a 1-to-1 ratio, because every person only has one coin, and that coin is what is used in order to make these votes. But in other cases, a DAO would say the amount of coins that you have depends on your budget. So if you could come in and possibly purchase $10,000 worth of coins, then you would receive the equivalent of $10,000 worth of coins. I could still come in as a person with very low budget, and I could purchase 10 cents worth of DAO coins, and I would receive 10 cents worth of those DAO coins. Now that's all good and well. I'm still a member of that DAO. But when it comes to proposals and submitting and wanting votes out of the individuals, I could vote as well as the other person who purchased $10,000 worth of coins. And what's the difference in this case? The difference is, even though we might both vote one positive, one negative, my influence is a fraction of that person who invested $10,000. So that is another way that a DAO could work. And there's so many different kinds of formulas that could be used. So let's jump into some examples. I got some great stories here of DAOs that existed and still exist. The first one is one of the first decentralized finance DAOs that were created on the Ethereum blockchain. It was called the DAO, and it was used to raise funds. Now, this is almost one of those tragedy stories, although not so tragic, where after 3 months of that DAO existing, they had managed to raise $60 million. In fact, they had managed to raise much more than that. But within 3 months, $60 million, thanks to a hack, were actually moved out of the DAO into someone else's wallet. So they were hacked, and they lost $60 million worth of DAO coins for that first DAO that existed on the blockchain, or on the Ethereum blockchain. Now, one of the reasons why people might get confused, what is Ethereum and what is Ethereum Classic? This can answer that question. Ethereum was a hard fork that the founder created against the normal source code for the Ethereum blockchain. So when this hack occurred, the founder hard forked the Ethereum blockchain to form what we now know as the Ethereum blockchain, whereas the old source code that the hacker used and the hacker managed to hack the monies out of became Ethereum Classic. One of the reasons that the founder hard forked the blockchain was to get that $60 million back to the investors. But then other people felt like that goes against the whole idea of having a blockchain, having sort of this decentralized authority. So what happened in that case, and I'm sorry, my words are buzzing off over here, but what happened in that case is they kept that old version of the Ethereum blockchain, which they now call the Ethereum Classic, and the new one is what most people end up using now in the modern world. Okay, so that was one of the first DAOs that actually came out that was meant to raise funds over there. So I thought I'd just include that as a storyline over here. Decentraland, what a lot of people know as one of the really awesome play-to-earn decentralized games on the blockchain at the moment. You are able to purchase your own land, and you are able to enter metaverses on Decentraland. It's really such an amazing ecosystem over there. They are innovating like you've never seen before. But what a lot of people don't realize is that Decentraland is an online world governed by a DAO. Once you own a mana coin or mana token, which is the in-game currency that you use in order to purchase things, or what you earn mana, what you don't realize a lot of the times is that mana gives you power to also be a part of a DAO. And when certain proposals are submitted, you are able to interact with those proposals and the voting that occurs, just because you have those mana tokens. So that's pretty exciting. Just some of the brands that have purchased NFT properties in Decentraland are Coca-Cola, Adidas, and there are a bunch more, Atari, and a whole bunch more that are purchasing land inside Decentraland. What a lot of people also don't realize is that Bitcoin, in many ways, is a version of a DAO, albeit an imperfect one. And the founder of Ethereum was the first person to say that Bitcoin in many ways represents a DAO. It scales via community agreement. There's no centralized governance. Yes, there are certain things you would find in a DAO that don't exist in Bitcoin, especially because it's pretty much just an automated blockchain network that has its rules baked into it. And these rules have to be followed by the developers upgrading the versions, obviously by the total number of coins that can be minted and a number of other things. There's very little human intervention if you think about it, as opposed to a normal DAO. But it is a great version of it. So a DAO platform, first and foremost, is a platform that allows you, without any technical skills, to go ahead and create a DAO. It has the collaboration tools, and it has what one would need in order to make a DAO function. How many DAO platforms are there out there? It depends also, because we have so many blockchains. We have so many blockchains that each blockchain kind of would also need sort of its DAO capabilities and functionality. If any of you know the DeSo blockchain, which is the decentralized social blockchain that integrates with Entra, the very platform that you're sort of watching this from, and so it has its own DAO called DAO, and that DAO has its tools and capabilities, but everything is baked into the DeSo blockchain. Whereas you've got other DAOs, for example, Aragon and DAOstack that I'm going to mention today, where they are baked into Ethereum blockchains or like Polygon. And you've got other DAOs, once again, that are baked into different blockchains. So there's really a bunch of them out there. But the long story short about a DAO platform is that it gives you the ability, without any real technical skill, to go ahead and create a DAO. Now, most of you should kind of know how these online websites like WordPress and Wix or some of these online platforms that allows you to bring together all these tools to sort of create yourself an online marketplace platform. Take Shopify or whatever as an example. And you don't really need to know how to build CRM systems. You don't need to know how to create sort of HR solutions or how to send out or how to set up payment gateways. These online platforms have got all these capabilities, and WordPress is probably the longest and one of the easiest to explain. Because when you set up a WordPress server, it's hosted online, number one, so you don't have to set it up in your own sort of private virtual environment. Number two, you have all these plugins that you can use for SEO, for editing and creating blog content, for setting up your websites, for including sign-up forms. And I mean, the list just goes on. For interacting with social platforms, WordPress has got all these amazing plugins that allow you to create a full-fledged content management system. So I need you to keep that in mind, because a DAO is very similar to WordPress in that it is a community-based solution, decentralized on a blockchain network, but it's got all these capabilities that will run on this blockchain network. The ability to socialize and chat with each other, the ability to connect crypto wallets and send financial transactions, to have a treasury that will hold the monies. The voting and proposal system, it sounds very advanced, but it's actually just a poll that has a couple of rules assigned to it. And the tokens are there to, it's like you would almost think of it as gamification, or just an in-app currency that you can purchase or earn that can also determine the influence that you have inside that DAO. It is, and a DAO could have maybe 3 or 4 or 5 different features, or 50 or 60 or 70. And it all depends on the platform that you're on, and it all depends on if you actually want to build your own DAO. This is where DAO started. You built your own DAO, and this is where developers were needed, because they would have to go in onto the Ethereum blockchain, and they would have to go and design these smart contracts that would automatically govern the decisions that are made. Now, it was still very raw back in the day, because even though you went to that DAO in order to manage the treasury, in order to do voting, and in order to distribute DAO tokens, you had to go to other applications like Discord or Slack in order to go and socialize, and in order to discuss certain things. So you had to rely on third-party solutions most of the time in order to just make a DAO work. It was nothing was ever just baked into that DAO solution. But fortunately, with these DAO platforms, the game has changed. So DAO is the one that exists on the decentralized social blockchain, and it's got very basic DAO capabilities. So it allows you to do voting, it allows you to do tokenomics within the DAO. It has a treasury that sort of holds the funds. It allows you to purchase and do a whole bunch of other things with inside the DAO, but very, very basic capabilities when you compare it to other more advanced DAOs, especially when you're developing your own ones. The benefit of the DAO is that it's very, very quick. It's almost as quick as registering a social account like on Facebook. That is how easy it is to set up your DAO. There are also a number of additional benefits that I'll get into in a moment. But what's quite fun about DAO, which almost starts explaining its name, is that it's run as a DAO. So when they designed the DAO, they used their own technology to run the platform as a DAO as well. So it's actually called the DAO. And you'll see in a moment, I'll give you an example of that as well. So that is one of the DAO platforms, and it's one of the newest ones. It was released very recently. I'm a big fan of it. My Web3 Simplified project was started via DAO. So I've been very bullish on DSO and DAO for the technology that it is. But you've also then got one of the very popular DAO platforms called DAOstack. And DAOstack is built on the Ethereum blockchain. And this is also, they've got so many different modules that you can plug and play into their DAOs. It almost feels like it's a WordPress for DAOs with the amount of modules and everything that they have. So if you want chat capabilities, there you go. If you want financial capabilities, payment gateways with PayPal, Stripe, or any other crypto wallets, they've got everything that you need in order to bring together a full-fledged solution in order to manage your DAO. What I like, though, is they've got a lot of plug-and-play smart contracts as well. So remember earlier on I said that before all these DAO platforms, developers would go and design these smart contracts that would determine the outcomes of a DAO based on voting that occurs. Now, what's in DAOstack, there's a whole bunch of these smart contracts that are quite generic when it comes to decision making and when it comes to running organizations or corporations or businesses or communities. And these contracts have already been created and can be deployed to your DAO on DAOstack. It is very, very powerful. So you've still got that natively embedded capabilities within that DAO that runs with decision making that runs directly on the blockchain. Now that's quite different to what I mentioned earlier on was DAO, and that's why I said DAO's got like basic capabilities that gives you kind of what you need to get started, but I wouldn't necessarily say it gives you what you need to run some high-end DAOs that will sort of run Decentraland or Uniswap or anything like that. It's my personal opinion. I could be wrong. But from my experience, that is really the difference between these. If you go and take a look at Aragon DAO, also very, very powerful, very similar to DAOstack. Unlike DAOstack, where it runs on the Ethereum blockchain, Aragon initially started on the Ethereum blockchain, but they now support various different Ethereum-based blockchains as well as Polygon. And what's important about this is that with Aragon, you don't have to work on the Ethereum blockchain and pay those ridiculous transactions. I'll give you an example. If you go into DAOstack right now and you go and try and create a DAO, the minimum amount required just to spawn your DAO on DAOstack is about $290. That's the minimum amount just to get it up and running. And this is usually a no-go for a lot of people that are still brand new to DAOs and they don't know if they're ready to throw that kind of money just to get like some sort of collaborative organization going on a blockchain. So Aragon solves this problem because now that they are available on Polygon, the transactions are very, very cheap. You're only looking at a couple of dollars, if any, in order to spawn your DAO. And then obviously the transaction costs would occur after that, depending on when you submit proposals or when you send and receive transactions. What I'd like to quickly do before we get into some live demos and my announcement is let's just understand the pros and cons of running a decentralized autonomous organization. Now, in the case of a pros, the automations are a big plus. Not only is it very efficient in terms of not having to rely on human intervention in order for certain things to take place. Once voting occurs, and these automatic transactions can just happen, especially on the financial side. So that's a great benefit when it comes to DAOs. There's no human intervention for actual processes that are required. Another pro is staking and voting. I mentioned this earlier on, where there are proposals that are submitted allowing people to vote on those proposals, and your influence on those proposals are based on the amount of coins you've either purchased or that you've earned, depending on how the DAO is structured. Transparency is also another big one. Everything happens on the blockchain. So all these transactions, whether they're immutable, they can't be changed, and they exist on these blockchains as what we would see as regular Ethereum-based transactions. And it supports those ERC standards. I'm not going to go into those kind of details. This is Web3 Simplified. But the transparency is very important. Even if you take a look at DAO takes it a next step, where even the social aspect of it, like I said, a lot of these DAOs sometimes go third-party tools to privatize their conversations. On DAO, the conversation is public and private. So it depends on where you're posting content, but like voting as an example, all votes that occur on DAO, they occur publicly and they're available on the social blockchain. You don't even need to be logged into DSO in order to pull that data. That data is freely available to everyone. So transparency is also a very big pro because it keeps people honest. All right. It depends on if your glass is half full, glass is half empty, but it keeps people honest. And then finally, with that honesty comes accountability. And that's a big pro of a DAO as well. You don't have this top-down approach when it comes to DAOs, where you've got executives on a high level and they make decisions on behalf of the rest of the community or organization because they have to make promises to investors, which is very fair. The whole sort of movement with a DAO just changes everything. It's not executives on the top floor and the rest of the company. It's more like a town hall meeting where everyone is together. And every single person in that town hall has a stake in this community or this organization. And so everyone together holds accountability for seeing things through on a DAO versus just 3 or 4 people. So it just changes that dynamic as well. But if we go ahead and see some cons when it comes to a DAO, even though the processes are automated and are written on blockchains, the delays usually come in when you're waiting to receive and gather votes from all your members. I'll give you an example. It's so bad that you'll submit a proposal and you'll say, listen, you've got 7 days to vote on this. Once we receive 70% of the votes, then we cut off and the voting process is complete. Now, the DAOs have learned to go and put these kind of rules in place and to have these options available to you when you submit these proposals, because all these individuals all around the world are in different time zones and have their own responsibilities over and above them belonging to this DAO. And you just do not get that feedback that you would have received from 3 or 4 or 5 execs where you could have phoned them directly and say, listen, please go and vote here now. So what happens is you have to end up accommodating people all over the world that are members of this DAO, and it can take a while. So there's some serious delays, and the delays could span depending on how urgent it is that you want certain decisions and processes to occur. So and I've experienced, even with Web3 Simplified, I've experienced it a lot. I don't even get 50% votes most of the time on my Web3 Simplified DAO. It's one of those things. So there are also regulatory concerns. You know, when it comes to government and when it comes to the people that control the legalities and the taxes around organizations or corporations, a DAO is not even considered a corporation as far as they're concerned. So there's a lot of legalities and big question marks and a lot of gray areas when it comes to a DAO. So you got to have proper terms and conditions put in place when people join your DAO to not only protect yourself, but offer a certain level of protection to everyone else when they do become a member. And you got to obviously keep in mind that you have to have your facts straight and you have to have transparency when it comes to the financials of a DAO, so that you don't find yourself red flagged because you're moving money around in a space that is decentralized. So very, very, and I must be honest, the terms and conditions that DAO provided me when I launched Web3 Simplified gave me enough for now to cover myself and not be held liable should things go wrong. But also the nature of my type of DAO, it wasn't too serious. The thing is, what does make it tricky is that when I launch my DAOs, I want to give back to the DAO members, not only with thank yous and my good graces, but with financial reward. And that's why, whether you call it a dividend payout or whether you call it a royalty, my Web3 Simplified, anything that the project generates in terms of ad revenue, I take 10% of that and I give that back. I distribute it back to all the DAO members. I need to be very careful when it comes to the central authorities on my side, especially here in South Africa, because I gotta stay transparent with them and say, listen, yeah, this is what's moving around. This is the income that's been generated. And obviously those who receive those royalties as well, they are all in their own way responsible to present that financial income, because it could be regarded as an income, and it depends from which company or which country you come from, how these royalties or dividends are seen. Because a lot of these processes are automated, like what happened with the DAO on the Ethereum Classic blockchain, there is always that security concern of what happens if a DAO gets hacked. Because now, once you get into that system, you get into the escrow, the treasury, you could possibly change the smart contracts and bypass voting. I mean, anything is possible. So it is a security concern. And what makes it a big concern is not necessarily, okay, but are you saying is Ethereum a security concern? I'm not saying that. I'm saying that, Ethereum's come a long way, but there are many other blockchains out there, and these blockchains are offering DAOs. So the DSO blockchain has got DAO. The DSO blockchain is not Ethereum. It's a layer 1 blockchain. It's built from the ground up. So now we have to sort of sit there and raise a flag to say what kind of security measures have been put in place to ensure that these DAOs on the DSO blockchain are secure and are protected, and so on and so forth. And then finally, you got the bike shed effect. And I've seen this as well. All right. So what happens is if you take a DAO and you start treating a DAO as some sort of advanced corporation or advanced community or fundraising, whatever you want to call it, the moment you have all these members come into play, you will notice something very, very quickly. And I've seen it even with my DAO with Web3 Simplified. The bike shed effect is where a lot of time gets spent on the simple stuff and not nearly enough time is spent on the important, critical stuff. So what I mean by that is simple. When it comes to a DAO, you might submit a proposal that says, do we change the name of the DAO? And you'll find that within a day, 90% of the people would land up voting yes or no. It's quick and easy. All right, cool. But if you go in and submit a proposal to say, based on these legalities and based on lessons learned from the past 10 years, these are our options for how we determine how long a voting process should take. It will take very long for people to vote, and you'll find that the turnout for that is very, very low because people do not necessarily have the time to spend reading the white papers around that, which needs to occur. So they are rather quick and easy to change colors and change down names and be a part of those voting processes. But the moment it comes to advanced voting processes, then you'll find that you don't have the amount of people that you need in order to properly vote and move the DAO forward. So they call that the bike shed effect. And if there's a better way to explain it, then I do apologize. But that is a serious con when it comes to DAOs, especially when you want to start creating a very advanced DAO. We're coming near to the end, and to the sort of more fun part is just quickly, why do I prefer DAO as opposed to the other DAOs out there? The first one is that it's very quick and simple to set up. And I'm going to show you very soon how quick it is to set up a DAO and just get it running. It's also insanely cheap. If anyone knows anything about the DSO blockchain, a typical post on the blockchain will cost you 0.000000009 cents. Okay, it would take you probably a year of posting frequently on a daily basis to have spent just about $1 on transaction costs. Now, compare that to Ethereum, compare that to other blockchains. They don't come near that, all right? So remember, DSO was level 1, so they don't abide by those rules. They designed their own rules, and they designed it in such a way that it's insanely cheap. Remember earlier on when I said that DAO stack needs about $290 just to start a DAO? Well, in this case, you need less than a cent to get a DAO up and running. Even if you sign up, if you're anyone on the DSO platform, it's so quickly to get crypto on there. Just post a couple of posts, add some value, and you'll be tipped in no time. And those tips will get you running before you know it. You could even go onto the DSO blockchain and you could post and say, please help me. I'm setting up a DAO, but I have no funds. Please can you give me a couple of tips? And I promise you'll have a couple of dollars in no time. It is just how the ecosystem is. So once again, insanely cheap to set up a DAO, almost no financial upfront investment required in order to get going with a DAO and DAO. It's great for beginners. I kind of mentioned that earlier on, and we're going to see that as well coming soon. And it's got an exciting roadmap. Even though DAO is brand new, it only came out, I think, 2 months ago. The kind of things that they have already sort of said are on their roadmap, the MetaMask integration, the use of stablecoins for escrow, and the amount of other DAOs that are moving onto DAO are just some of the crazy things that are on the roadmap for DAO, and it's very exciting. It's a place, it's going places. It hasn't even begun to do what it really wants to do. So this is why it's easy for me to preach DAO to those who are very new to the Web3 ecosystem, because it allows you with very, very little risk to get up and running in this space. You've got my DAO on DAO, which I hope everyone knows, and I'll send you the links later on. My DAO is focused around creating content like you've seen today, where I simplify Web3 for non-technical people. And I do that in the form of tutorials, webinars, mini courses, and the like. So what happens is I started a DAO, and those who believe in my cause can support me by purchasing DAO coins and funding my project. So if I want to say, I would go to them and say, listen, I need this tutorial. I want to do this. I feel like it will benefit this and that. And I would say, listen, if I can raise $500, I'll do the entire distribution from script to deployment to video to editing to everything. And I'll distribute the whole thing and make it available. And I'll do it in such a way that everyone can use it. It's not only for me. And my DAO members and those on the community would join in, purchase DAO coins. And once I reach my goal of $500, the round closes. They get their DAO coins, or they would have received their DAO coins, but I receive the actual crypto in DSO, or soon to be a stable coin, and I can now move forward and deliver on my promises. So for a great example, 2 weeks ago, my round closed $500. It is the last tutorial for the DSO Essentials course, which is creating, selling, and auctioning social NFTs. I received my funding of $500, and the video will be delivered within the next week, and that's that. And that, that is a great way how one could use a DAO. They actually refer to it as a media DAO, by the way, media as in creating media content. All right. I love this. If any of you know Sean Slater, Mr. Aussie from Australia, he's obviously not with us now. He's busy snoring, but he created a DAO just to show people how it works and just to test it. When DAO was launched, he went and created a DAO, and he got to raise $100 so that people can tell him what socks or what shirts he wears on a daily basis. And I'm a part of this DAO as well, and his round is closed, so he doesn't have anything open at the moment. But every now and then on a weekly basis, he's got these crazy socks, and instead of him deciding which socks he's going to wear for the next day, he sends it to the DAO, he sets up a proposal, and he submits that proposal to say, here you go, tell me, these are the 3 socks that I currently have. You go and choose the socks that I need to wear. And it's very, very simple, but it is a beautiful example of one of the simplest ways you can go ahead and create a DAO. It cost him nothing. He raised $100 just for the fun of it. I think he raised that within 2 days. And he took the money, and now we get to decide what socks he wears. It's a win-win. I've done enough talking now. We're reaching towards the end of this webinar, but what we are going to do is we are going to create a DAO. Now, this is important, everyone. I'm not only just going to create a DAO to show you how it works. I'm going to create a specific DAO, something that I've been wanting to do, and I just didn't know how I wanted to do it, all right? So if I quickly just give a little bit of context, I am a content creator, and I'm working my way to becoming like a social media influencer. And if everything goes my way within the next maybe 2 years, I might be able to do this full time, which will be absolutely fantastic for me. But there is a long road ahead, and what is required from my side is delivering awesome content. But what is also needed over and above that is a lot of support. Now, what happens is there are a number of you that join these webinars of mine every Tuesdays. You're promoting my content on social media platforms like Twitter or Facebook or like DSO. You're there always shouting my name. If people are like, where do I need help? And there's, oh no, go to John and the like. And I really appreciate that kind of support from you. But what I want to do is I want to be more than just appreciative of that support. So what I want to do is I want to create a DAO called the Jardin DAO. And what this DAO does is, unlike other DAOs, you cannot purchase DAO coins. You can only earn DAO coins. So what happens is via this DAO, if you join this DAO as a member, and I'll show you now how to join it as a member, then what happens is every time I can see you helped me in some way by promoting my videos or promoting my channels or subscribing or following me, you actually earn DAO coins. You earn my Jardin DAO coins as a reward, as a thank you for promoting me in the various ways that you would do. Even for attending these webinars on a weekly basis would earn you these DAO coins. And I'll show you a little bit of that in more detail. But this will be a fantastic way for you to join a DAO and to experience a DAO with almost no you don't have to sponsor anything financially. All you need to really do is submit your email address to me, and you have to have a DSO account so that I can link you, because that's the only way that I can give you DAO coins is via a DSO account. So what I'm going to do now is I haven't set up this DAO. I'm going to set up this DAO now. And what I did earlier on was I did a snapshot of everyone who was in the audience list as part of today's webinar, because I want you all to send me your email addresses shortly or whenever you do have time. And in return, I'm going to award you DAO coins for attending this very webinar today. So that's the intent of this DAO, but I haven't created it. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that right now. So what I've done here is I've opened up DAO.io. All right, I've opened up DAO.io, and if you haven't logged into DAO before, it will take you to a page like this where it will ask you to log in, and it just gives you sort of a basic page. You can see the tutorial of how DAO works. You can read the vision and do all kinds of crazy stuff. But the very important one over here is where you click on the button Start Your DAO. So if I click on this, I already have an account. Now, this is where I said you need a DSO account, and I will provide you links on how to create this. It's very simple. You could go up and sign up with your Google account, or you can sign up with a DSO seed. It's very similar to creating a crypto wallet. It is a very, very simple process. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my user account over here, and that's going to take me straight into a DAO. Yeah, all right, good. So it's just logged me in. I already had a DSO account, and what you're seeing over here is a very basic DAO setup, okay? This information that you see over here, it grabbed from my DSO profile. I didn't create any of this stuff. So all of this that you see over here is actually my DSO user profile. But notice this at the bottom. This is relative to the actual DAO. And you can see this is a reserved DAO created by Jardin. So this was a message I just put there for now because I had to put something. All right. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go to the settings of this DAO, and I'm going to start setting it up so that it can do what I need it to do in order to reward everyone that I need to reward. So if I go to my project details, it already brought through, and this is not right. Let me just change this quickly. So you can upload a picture. There we go. That should do the job. And if you see the display name, I can say Jardin DAO, and you can provide some social profiles directly to the website or your Discord or Twitter account. You can even create a private group chat, but I'm not going to do that for now. What we have here is the DAO description. This is very important. This uses Markdown. Okay, Markdown is like Git Markdown. It's almost as if it turns static text into rich text, like with bold and underline, with headers and tables and a lot of other things. So you can click over here to learn more about Markdown. Now, what I've done for the sake of this is I've already gone and created Markdown over here, and I'm going to paste it. And this is what it looks like. So you'll see you can use these two hashes, and it turns this into a header, and this makes items bold, and this makes items bulleted lists, and a number of other things. If I go and click on the preview, this is how it comes out. This is how it will look in the UI. Okay. So this is the text that I want you to see when you go to this DAO. And what I also want to do is I want to just change this message here, display name. Welcome to the Jardin DAO. Let's see if that works out for me. All right, so let's go down here. I've got all the text. This part over here, this description. You got to think of this as your sales pitch. If people are going to come to your DAO and they want to be a part of it, you need to have something over here. You need to explain what you're doing. So this is very, very important. Some people go as far as creating full-fledged white papers, which take weeks and involve a lot of negotiations. But for a lot of the DAOs, especially just getting started, create a little bit of a roadmap on what you intend to do and what your DAO is about, and sell yourself. Really sell yourself. So this is your sales pitch and your detailed description of how the DAO works. You can enable NFT galleries. I'm not going to do that for now. Let me go ahead and save this change. And because this is a blockchain-based transaction, I have to approve it using my DAO account and wallet address. And if everything went good, I will get a lot of confetti. No confetti? Okay. Usually I get confetti. That's a bit sad. Now, I could go to fundraising details. Now, remember, my DAO doesn't focus on fundraising. People can't purchase DAO coins. You can only earn DAO coins. But if you wanted people to be able to purchase DAO coins, you would do that in the form of fundraising rounds. So these rounds allow you to say, I want to raise $500, which will be equivalent to that. And you can set the coin, what is the default price per coin. You can either choose to set that as a DSO coin amount or a USD amount. You can set the date range for your DAO, very easy. And reserve rate, this is quite important. The reserve rate is whenever someone invests in your DAO, let's say your DAO coin was $1 and they invested $100. If your reserve rate was at 10%, instead of them getting 100 coins for $100, they would get 90 coins and you would get 1 coin to your account. Now, it's not just about when people purchase, but it's also when people trade your coin. It's very important. So like for me, I actually wanted this to be 0%. If people purchase my DAO coins, they purchase my DAO coins. I don't want to take now 10% of that or even whatever. I don't want any of that. They should get the full amount of DAO coins. However, if they go and trade and someone else purchased those DAO coins via the order book exchange, surely I'm entitled to a little bit of a commission over there because they are trading with my coins. Surely I should get something. But now the problem is this reserve rate is what accommodates both those situations. So you can't have one for the one and one for the other. I can't have 0 for people purchasing DAO coins and then 5% for people trading DAO coins. So it's either one or the other, which is why I ultimately land up setting a reserve rate. So I hope that was a valuable lesson for a lot of people out there. The referral bonus is also fantastic. If people purchase DAO coins, but they were referred to your DAO via someone else's referral link, then what happens is when that round closes, before you get the monies for that DAO, 5% of the monies generated will be split between those who referred individuals to the DAO. So that's pretty cool. I had this on for a while because I didn't want people messing around and I didn't want to mislead anyone. So I made my DAO password protected. So if they tried to access my DAO, they wouldn't be able to access it. Here's the generic terms and conditions. This is already created by the DSO team, but you can go ahead and put your own terms and conditions in place and then just reference that via URL, and then you can give your round a name. Now, as I said earlier on, I don't actually have a round going, and I don't intend to because, oh, there's the confetti. Awesome. Because I just want to be able to mint coins and send them out to those as and when I need it. Here's the proposal settings. You can usually leave the defaults as is, but you can go and be specific about how you want proposals and votings to take place. You can see it's not rocket science, and you can just come to this section. But DAO distributions, which is coming soon, and that's going to allow me the opportunity to distribute funds or rewards back to the DAO coin holders. So this is the magic, right? This is one of the many reasons why people want to be a part of the DAO is because of royalty programs and being investors and having returns, and these distributions could be sent back to all the DAO coin holders. So it's coming soon. It's nothing available yet, but that's still good news. It's on its way. You still want to be able to have DAO coins. And then finally at the end over here, so what I'm going to do is here's where I can go and mint my DAO coins. And this is just like, it's like creating money. So remember, I don't want anyone to purchase my coins. So I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to go and mint 10,000 Jardin coins for now, because I want to be in a position where I can, in fact, I'm going to actually just change it to 100. I want to be in a position where I can go and send that out to those who are supporting me. So I can go ahead and click on mint. There I have 100,000 coins in circulation, ready to go. And yeah, so this is just one or two additional things. I've gone and set up my DAO. And if I go to my DAO now, this will be the homepage that everyone would also see. I don't know why it's showing around, but I'm going to end the round. Anyways, for those who want to go to my DAO now, you could actually go here to DAO.io, and I'm going to send the link. And you see how easy it was to set up? It's so fantastic. Even if I go to wallet, if you ask yourself, John, how are you going to send funds to everyone? Well, I can show you in real time, but for those who need to jump off, because we're reaching the end of our session, all you do is you click on your wallet over here, and you can see here's John Jardin's wallet, and you can see that here's all the DAO coins that I hold. And here at the bottom, here's my John Jardin coins. And at the end of a year, I can send coins. So I can go and choose people, and I can choose the amount of coins that I want to send to them. And for every one of you today who join my DAO, I'll be sending you 50 coins each, which is the amount of coins I want to send to anyone who attends my webinar. But because this is the official launch of it, I'm going to send a bonus 100 coins to everyone who participated and stuck with me through to the end of this webinar. So if you go ahead to the following address, I'm going to send this link now. It's also in the DAO, by the way. So if you go to my DAO and you scroll down here to the bottom where it says join the DAO, here's the link to the sign up page. And all you do, it's just going to take you to a very simple page. And all I need from you, at the very least, is your email address for now. Even if you don't have a DSO account, just submit an email address. I will personally help you set up your other accounts, and I'll be communicating via email in order to get you all the full details. But if you do have a DSO address, and if you are willing to share your additional social media addresses, then please go ahead and add them over here. This information is kept private and is only used to monitor when you are promoting me and my projects. So by knowing what your Twitter username, your YouTube username, your Instagram, whenever you have to promote one of my projects in some way, I can see it already, and I will know who you are, and it will allow me to easily assign you DAO coins as a reward. But if you just want to go ahead and submit your email address now, that is all that's actually required, and we can work out the rest later on. So I just want to thank you, everyone. Here's some reference links. So this is how you get to DAO. Here's the links to Aragon, DAOstack, and Decentraland. And then here are my contact details as well. And I'm going to end this session over here. So you can see there's my DAO, there's Web3 Simplified. Be sure to join that as well. Here's my DSO account, and there's my Twitter account.